remember watching this scene when I was in middle school, completely taken aback by how cool number 101 was. First of all, a number monster over 100, already a sick way to expand upon Zexal's lore. But even more importantly, a number that could suck up other special summon monsters. On top of that, it looks like some wicked spaceship out of Star Trek. Like, my 13-year-old mind was ecstatic. Imagine then when Nash, the Barian Emperor in this scene, pulls out this gamer move. Like, holy shit, you're telling me there was a whole Gundam inside of the spaceship the entire time? Let me tell you, after those episodes were over, it was my divine mission from that point onward to buy as many Legacy of the Valiant packs as I could to get a copy of both 101 and C101. I remember going to my local Walmart and, by some act of God, opening Silent Honor Arc in just 5 packs. I was beyond happy. Of course, my parents then informed me I wasn't allowed to buy the rest of the store stock, so I didn't get C101 immediately. Kinda cringe, Dad, big L there. Luckily, one of my friends who had at least double the amount of brain cells than I did helped me buy a copy from a local game store. For months thereafter, I was playing an absolute pile of a Rank 4 spam deck every day at lunch, trying to make 101 and C101 even in game sites where I didn't need to. All just for the sake of reliving that one anime scene over and over. Number 101 is a card I'll never forget. Quite literally, by the way, I still have that single copy of 101 I opened back in 2014. Admittedly though, it isn't the only card I'll never forget in this vast game of Yu-Gi-Oh! There have been countless other individual cards that have left such an impression on me that they are now etched into my memory. And I know I'm not the only one that feels this way. There will be times after a duel, for example, where I'll chat a bit with my opponent and they'll reminisce over a particular spell or trap that saved them several times in games. One of my close friends will always tell my group about how broken Scrub Raid was at his elementary school tables, preventing his opponent from attacking for a turn. Even if you aren't worshipping a card like Kid Me was to 101, you probably have at least one card where you're like, hey, this thing is a G. But there's a good chance that your reasoning for this might be different than the reason I explained for 101. After all, there are only so many cards that actually appear in Yu-Gi-Oh's media. Some admittedly unexpected. Remember when Zodiac showed up in Vrains, or Thunder Dragon showed up in OCG Structures? Recall how there's an entire manga dedicated to Sky Striker lore? No offense, Striker players, but you all are a little too spoiled. Tangent aside, outside of these instances, many of Yu-Gi-Oh's cards are exclusive to the physical card game. So, what gives then? Why are some cards as unforgettable as they are for some of you out there and for myself? Well, firstly, there is the holy trinity that is playstyle, art, and lore. In other words, to group them and make things simple, the fundamental design of a card. See, in previous videos, I've talked extensively about what makes an archetype the goo for some people. But what separates an archetype from a singular card is, well, just that. With an archetype, the collective playstyle, art, and lore it boasts across its entire card pool comes together to cultivate your appreciation for its name. This inadvertently brushes past the fact that you may not be fond of every individual card in that archetype. Many archetypes in the game, after all, have some really lackluster cards that are only carried by the flavor of those around them. Take the fan favorite Shaddolls. Did any of you actually play Shaddol Hound in the TCG? Did Shaddol Hound make significant contributions to the Shaddol lore? I don't think so. Look at Heroes 2. This archetype has nearly 7 dueling book pages worth of support. But do any of you actually use Elemental Hero Boys and Rose? I didn't even know this was a card until I looked it up. Basically, rating a singular card isn't always as easy as rating an entire archetype. You don't have the option to rely on a collection of insane support to boost your opinion versus that one outlier. So if that particular card has a really enticing name, a really captivating image, or just a really unique effect, that might be enough to woo you into adoring the cardboard. Need proof? Let me sell you on my GOAT, number 52 Diamond Crab King. You can probably tell at this point that I was a real numbers fanboy growing up. Zexal was, after all, the time period I first started playing, a bit of Toon World lore for all of you. Anyhow, y'all think Dark Magician is the ultimate wizard in terms of attack and defense? Nah, that title is reserved for Diamond Crab King. You might look at this card at first glance and think it's literally just a blue crab toon world with a 3k defense dumpy. What's so special? And I'd be like, hehe, they don't know the truth of it all. See, you are right, Diamond Crab King does have some thick ass cheats, but its effect is insane. See, by detaching a mere 1 Exceed material, its stats invert. Suddenly, it's this 3k beefed up warrior about to pummel your puny ass with its giant meaty claws. Oh, and what's that? It'll switch back to defense after the battle phase is over and revert to its original stats, becoming a wall during your opponent's turn that they have to break through. My fellow punks, Diamond Crab King was it. I initially got my copy through volume 6 of the Zexal manga as a promo, and placed it in my extra deck alongside the likes of 101 and C101. Though I wasn't spamming it as often as the latter, I definitely felt like a beast when it did hit the board. Nowadays, the card, at least in my life, is relegated to a draft format me and my friend group have. But you know I'll always be swiping my boy whenever I see him. Vampire Fraulein is another classic in my history with Yu-Gi-Oh! Art, stellar. Fan art, tempting. But for the time I played Vampires, and mind you I picked this deck up and sold it like 3 times over, Fraulein always carried me. This level 5 zombie isn't just a pseudo battle fader, but is also a way to shield your monsters during battle or is a towering threat on its own. By paying increments of 100 life points up to 3000 max, you can boost a zombie monster's attack and defense, including Fraulein herself if need be, by that amount. And on top of this, if Fraulein beats over an opposing threat, she can recur it to your field at the end of the battle phase. Yep, that's right, Goyo Guardian, move aside. Diamond Crab King and Vampire Fraulein will always have a special place in my heart. Their unique effects and stunning art have solidified themselves as cards I can't and won't forget as I continue to play this game. And I'm sure card design has influenced at least one of the cards you continue to cherish in Yu-Gi-Oh! Of course, there are certain feelings that extend beyond just the design of a card. Sometimes your best moments come into play. You might ask me, Toon, what does quote-unquote best moments mean? Are we talking like the best deck here, something that's absolutely broken that can set up a million negates through a billion hand traps, 100% guaranteed earn your money back? Well, not really. See, what I mean by best moments is an amazing experience you had with a card in a duel that then cemented said card in your memory. Let me provide you another personal example so you kind of get what I'm putting down. Super Polymerization is a card associated with one of my best moments. This might seem suspicious to you at first. After all, in the present day, the card has solidified itself as an incredible board breaker into the established boards given the now myriad of various generic fusion targets for its effect. And of course the fact that you can't respond to it. However, my quote-unquote best moment with the card wasn't any of those standard games. Let's flash back in time to my college years, in particular 2019. Picture this. Me and one of my close friends are sitting in one of our university's largest student centers on a Saturday, playing Yu-Gi-Oh! With the rest of our club. I'm a Magical Musketeer, this is before Magical Musket Max mind you, and he's on full power Thunder Dragon. It's game 3, and I'm staring down a board of Colossus, Titan, and some Summer Summoner. I have Starfire and Cross Domination in hand, alongside a random card. I could go for game by making Utopia double by summoning Starfire, negating Summoner's effect, and rendering its attack 0. But Titan is a major threat given my friend has Dragon Matrix in hand to trigger it. Furthermore, Colossus would prevent me from even resolving double in the first place. I need the perfect top deck to out both monsters to make my stand. By sheer luck, as I draw for my turn, I find Super Polymerization, quite literally the only card in my deck with even a sliver of a chance to get me out of this situation. I did side in Kaijus and Forbidden Chalice, but they would have only been able to address one of the 2 aforementioned problems. Super Polymerization, on the other hand, was the exact card I needed. And so I immediately slammed that shit on the table, discarding the other random card in hand to fuse Colossus and Titan into Dragostapelia. I summon Starfire and activate Cross Dom to negate Summoner, triggering my musket in the process to summon another level 4 body. I then make Utopia double and go for game. This is a memory absolutely etched into my existence. Sure, it was a simple for fun game between me and my friend, but it was such a hype moment for me that it really made me appreciate Super Polymerization more so than any standard duel could have. It was as if I was a Yu-Gi-Oh! Protagonist at that very moment, destiny drawing my way to victory. It was my best moment. I do want you to note though that this phrase best moment, as weird as this is about to sound, doesn't have to be an isolated event either. I made up the phrase just now for the video after all, it's not like an official term or something. Your best moments, now with an added S, could just entail playing a card multiple times to the point where it becomes one of your favorites, kind of like how Scrub Raid saved that one friend I mentioned at the start of this video. Bao Baboon falls into this category for me. We aren't in the card design portion of the video anymore, but a monkey that's also a tree? I swear that's some like random devil fruit shit out of One Piece. Bao Baboon was so goated during Metaflow's format. Mind you, I was absolutely trash at that deck when it was relevant in 2016, but Bao Baboon would always outperform. You could pop it with one of your Metaflow scales, and then it would float into 2 more copies of itself. The card would then essentially let you mulligan parts of your hand, and since it wasn't a hard one per turn, you could essentially mulligan up to 2 cards per turn. This card saved me so many times by shuffling away what would otherwise be bricks in my hand, and of course, you could get a rank 3 Exceed on top of that if you wish. Essentially, what I'm trying to emphasize in this section is that there may be one instance with a card that stood out above all others, leading you to cherish that card beyond belief. Or your time spent with a card across your career might have caused you to develop a bond with it. This is a perfectly natural thing, and a testament to how cool Yu-Gi-Oh! Can be in enabling this. Now, at this point, you might be thinking, okay, so card design and best moments, is that all you got, Toon World? In which case, I would reply, did you forget what we talked about at the start of this video? Are you not a fan of the anime? You thought that was the only time I was going to talk about the anime, huh? Nope. The Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime is a pivotal reason to why so many people play this game. My goal with this section isn't to talk in detail about the history of the franchise's shows and how each individual edition influenced its particular time. That definitely merits its own video. Instead, I really just want to gush over how cool some of these damn scenes are. Like, holy shit, it's scenes like these that just make you pause and stare in awe at how cool some of Yu-Gi-Oh's cards truly are. It's scenes like these that, when you're watching them as a kid, just stick with you as you grow up. There's a reason why you hear so many people who don't even play Yu-Gi-Oh! Upon seeing a Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel unfolding before them, talk about how cool Blue Eyes is in the Oshi anime. It's because it genuinely was that cool in the original show.
Take flight, Blue Eyes White Dragon, rise! Go, White Lightning attack!
I already used 101 and C101 as my go-to examples for cards that inspired me from the Zexal anime. If we move forward a generation, however, Arc V had so many great scenes. Many people might point to Phantom Knights or Raid Raptors as some of the premier anime archetypes to debut in this show. I get it, you all like to be a little edgy here and there. Don't worry, I do too, because in my eyes, DDD was the sickest thing to come out of that show. Let me explain. We get introduced to Akaba Reishi, the pilot of this deck, very early on as this mysterious corporate leader conducting research on our protagonist, Yuya. I mean, I can't blame him. Yuya is literally a cheater. He creates the whole pendulum mechanic out of nowhere mid-duel against Arnold Schwarzenegger.
So you want me to catch you, kid?
Literally, by the way. It wasn't even an established mechanic in his universe until the scene you're seeing on screen right now. Anyhow, very small rant aside, episodes later when Reishi duels Yuya, he pulls out this stunt. Like, stop, Konami, you're actually gonna make me bust one. You're telling me this villain, at least a villain for now, can use more than one extra deck summoning mechanic? Not only that, but he absolutely dumpsters our protagonist thereafter? Kaiba is definitely still a cooler antagonist, but my man Reishi was pushing it. And his archetype DDD, I guess I am cheating here like Yuya since this video is supposed to be about individual cards, but god damn was I hooked on that archetype. Need me to be more in line with the actual topic? Fine. Let's go forward to Link Vrains. Little bit of a spoiler here, so avoid your eyes and ears if you want, but during the last arc of the show, Yusaku's AI wingman, Ai, ends up going dark mode. Whereas for several seasons already, Ai had helped Yusaku beat multiple threats from Revolver to the Yellow Ignis, he now seemingly turns on our protagonist and his friends. He also has some new drip in the form of Ad Ignister. I remember getting to this arc and seeing this for the first time.
ダークナイトアットイグニスター
Dark Templar was just sick all around. A foil to Yusaku's legendary Decode Talker, a warrior with these neat purple highlights and malicious bat wings, absolutely dank. Ai's use of this card and the rest of the Adagnister blobs got me to buy the archetype ASAP at Ignition Assault Sneak Peek. Like, y'all should have seen me that day. I was literally haggling everyone for cards. I did then take the archetype to the 2020 Pasadena Regionals and went X3, but we don't talk about that. There are so many incredible moments in each individual Yu-Gi-Oh anime that I'm not even bringing up here. I do apologize, by the way, for the lack of older iconic summons in this section, save from Duel Monsters or GX. I admittedly haven't watched all of those, and I didn't want to embarrass myself by mistakenly hyping up something that wasn't as cool as X other thing. I'd much rather hear about these stories from you all, and then of course share with you my own genuine stories. Regardless, you can probably understand what I'm trying to say here. The Yu-Gi-Oh anime has been a huge inspiration for many, and certain scenes within it have definitely made some cards unforgettable to your identity as a duelist. Now, why does this all matter? What's the point of finding these cards that you won't forget? You're expecting some sort of big moral to round out the story, right? Well, sort of. See, it's natural for us to form attachment to certain cards. The concept is similar to how you may be extremely fond of a particular stuffed animal you adored as a kid, or maybe a really cool action figure or doll you used to play with. Maybe you enjoyed a particular spot in your hometown because you and your friends would frequent that place during school. And so whenever you pass by or visit that location, you'll be like, hey, I remember having some really deep convos on this generator late at night. Or, you all remember that one time where Billy fell off a spike in the plaza like an absolute bozo? If, for any reason you feel embarrassed by these sentiments, don't be. I promise you the comment section, at least if this video does blow up, will be filled with individual stories like mine. I feel as though, by sharing my own thoughts, talking about how cool certain cards were to me, I might spark some of you to share your own stories. If not, then at the very least, allow you to think back to some of those iconic cards within your own history as a duelist and feel happy for a second. Because yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh's kinda dope. The game is enormous, and there's so much room for you, no matter how unique you may be, which is a good thing by the way, flaunt your stuff king or queen, to find something you can love. Other card games and other video games for that matter definitely inspire the same feelings, but I don't know, Yu-Gi-Oh just has its own unique charm at times. It's one of the few games where I can say I've fallen in love with a big hand or a pile of bricks, a game where I can pull off some of the coolest victories I'll ever achieve, or a franchise where I can stare in awe as my favorite animated protagonist summons a beacon of hope for my heart. In hindsight, it isn't just about cards we'll never forget, it's Yu-Gi-Oh we'll never forget. Okay, so in the last video, I was contemplating how some YouTubers put out lengthy video essays. This particular one you've just finished watching isn't that long, but I think I'm starting to get it a little bit. There's just something innately satisfying in finding the perfect clip for a particular sentence, or getting to add that perfect image for a joke you know you will pay off. Maybe I'll consider trying out these long form videos in the future. Anyhow, thank you so much for watching today's video. Your viewership helps grow the channel a ton. If you genuinely enjoyed the content here, make sure to drop a like, and if you're not subscribed, feel free to. Furthermore, as I've said multiple times throughout this video, if you have a story about a particular card you won't ever forget, let's talk about it down below. The whole point of this rather subjective video, to repeat myself, was to just admire our own experiences. I had my fair share already, and so I want to hear what you think. Otherwise, I wish you a good night.